Hey folks, and welcome to a Daily Ratings Year in Review. On today's show, we'll sit down with Vincent Daly to talk about the films we covered in 2022. We'll also discuss how far the Daily Ratings has come this year and take a look on where we're going for 2023. But most of all, on this special, we're going to be giving out our very first Tom Daly Awards. It's like our version of the Oscars, but actually good, and more fun, and properly represents how these films actually perform. But anyway, it's going to be a great year in review, so stay tuned and enjoy. Mr. Vincent Daly, how we doing, brother? Sorry, I had you. Oh, it's already gone to shit, our special episode here.
The special has gone to shit. How's it going, Tommy boy?
It's going okay. We have our much-anticipated year in review, and it's going to be a blast going through all these together.
Yeah.
It's
I'm
our
looking
first
forward
time
to
ever.
it.
We're having sips. You have 2 fingers of whiskey on your side. I got a little Campari on this side. It's just a relaxed show.
Yeah.
It's nice that we can just sit down and chat with each other.
Chilling out, talking about movies, and definitely talking about what was actually worth your time this year, folks. There was looking at this list, Tom, master of data, data master is add that to the resume. Let me tell you, there is a lot of movies we covered. I was telling Tom before we started recording, folks, that man, on the left side, we have all the movies that weren't from 2022. It's a pretty good list. On the right side, the movies from 2022, it's not a great list at all. Like, what the hell was I thinking?
But I think we covered about 250 films in the year.
Yeah, pretty
and
much.
On this list here, we kind of, last January was... last January was heavy on 2021 stuff because we were catching up the Oscars. So I think we really kind of went live with the podcast to the public sometime in late February, early March, and we had this huge catalog.
Yep.
So folks, so you know, obviously we talk about it with this master list. We started years and years ago, Vin and I just sitting on a couch. We would sit down every other month, every 3 months, and we would just go through the movies Vin had watched. And then that's it. He would literally talk about it. Was like the podcast, actually. He would just be talking to me.
And then talking his ear off.
And then you gave a rating, and we had this huge amount. But then we knew we wanted to get the podcast, and we kind of set up our RSS feed, and we got the kind of the site URL, and we had our guy Colin kind of working on the site to actually build it and get a code.
Yep.
And we were like, well, it would be nice when we launched a podcast to have 5.
Yep.
You know, if people don't like the 5 films we have, now you get 25 films that you can listen to. And then sure enough, we ended up launching way later than we thought. And we came with like 20 episodes preloaded.
Yeah.
So some of that was 2021, but for the most part, I think we have about 246 films on our spreadsheet that we covered because we really started with the first episode that we had a new release, basically.
And these are all normal episodes as well, if I'm correct, right? This isn't a specials in here.
Specials are in here.
Okay, specials are in
Star Treks are in here, Lord of the Rings are in here, and our zombie movies are in here as well.
Of course.
But I just wanted to take a time, and that's kind of how we started, folks. So the site kind of got launched in late February. The podcast kind of launched in late February. So even though we've been doing this for over a year and more than 2022, it's almost like we've been doing it less than a full year also, you know.
Yeah. I feel like January is always going to be so dry every year.
That's why
it's always going to be catch up of the prior year.
But I love that the format. I think people would enjoy it too. The last couple weeks or first week in January as well is what fell through the cracks.
Yep.
Which last week was great because we're going to be talking about some of those films.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then also in January, since it's naturally dry, it's great to do our year in review and our Tom Dailies.
Right. And I don't have to watch whatever schlock is pushed out for January.
Right. No, exactly right. But that's kind of where we came from. You know, it was such a blast to finally launch this. We talked about it for years, starting a podcast and launching a database site. It's not your father's Squarespace site that you could just go on.
Right.
It's like, oh, we're building a database.
It is a database.
Right.
Truly.
We're literally doing our own IMDb for the most part, and it's only 2 guys doing it.
Yeah.
An immense amount of time. Amount of time. But so we couldn't be any more pleased with how far we come, and the responses have been really good from people.
Yeah, and we could not do it without all of you producers who donated throughout the year. who are enthusiastic about the idea as well. I mean, a heartfelt thank you to all of you that listen week after week. Donate in, write in, give us feedback in our real lives. So the podcast is inescapable. But really, I mean, if we're doing it for anyone now, it is for all of you. Where in the beginning it was different. The mentality was us trying to maybe make something out of an idea. Now it's keeping up to bring a product that all of you enjoy, and hopefully we'll continue to enjoy.
Yeah, and I would just take one caveat that it's for. We obviously enjoy it as well, but it's for the love of film, because I think the both of us have a different special relationship with movies and just cinema and film now. Yeah. Even me, who's not watching 5 a week, but so much more in tune to the culture. It's definitely part of our lives now.
Absolutely.
But it was fun. I mean,
for better or worse.
we were so busy with some other things. I mean, you literally went through a big transition with work recently. And still doing this every week.
Yep.
And my evenings have been shot for the better part of the last quarter of the year.
Right.
But it's been a blast to still sit down once a week and have this outlet. It's fun for us. The value that we're getting back from other people and that community that's kind of building up is awesome to see.
Yeah. And it returns to that concept of, hey, this is what I watched this week. Actually, it's maybe not an amazing episode, but when I was away on the trip in August, I liked that it was kind of a scrappy movie list, but that was legitimately what I was able to piece together in a week. And that was the heart of what we used to do when I was just come over, we'd sit on the couch and talk about the movies I watched. That really is the heart of what we want to get across here. So it's, hey, this is what I watched this week. Let's go ahead and talk about it.
Yeah.
Is anything worth your time?
I know. You were the ultimate water cooler ear chatter. It's like you go to, it's like, oh, Vin's by the water cooler. I'm going to have to hear about the movies this week.
People come to me.
Yeah. That's so true.
I tell them now, listen to the podcast.
By the way, that when you went on that trip and that week we had, that was the week you watched Ambulance.
Oh,
and
yes.
I managed to get through like the first 50 minutes of it this past weekend.
Really?
I was just like, let's turn it on.
Let's see.
It was more shocking than I thought.
It is. It is a shocking film. Did you get to the singing moment?
No, I didn't. Man. I got to the point where she tries to run out for the first time.
Oh, okay.
When they're in the alley.
Yeah.
Jake Gyllenhaal is something else.
It's wild. It's like, who let him act like this? Does he want to act like this?
I know. It's just like,
did he have a gun to his head?
And Nightcrawler's such a good movie.
Oh, yeah.
And he's such a weirdo and plays a creep. And
Prisoners. Gyllenhaal has a very large spectrum of good and bad for sure. And Ambulance, unfortunately, is on that.
The money's talked, I think. Anyway, so any other lasting thoughts on 2022? Or it's just been a good year, really?
No, I think that's good for the most part. And again, just a heartfelt thank you to everyone listening and everyone enthusiastic of us chatting your ear off once a week.
Okay, so I think let's just jump into it right away.
Yeah.
This is what people have been waiting for.
This is the moment. The industry is waiting for our choices.
We're here. Welcome to the apartment, everyone. We can't book the Hollywood studio or whatever the hell they're in when they do the Oscars.
We're still in tuxes. We rented 2 suits.
That's enough. Thank you, audience. Yeah, 2 suits. So this is the Tom Dailies, and we have both decided that no other award ceremony matters anymore.
Oh, certainly not.
Clearly, you come here.
We will be the trendsetter from here on forward.
Yeah, I think so. So, folks, I think we're going to break it down. We have categories.
Yep.
And we're not going to do the whole, and the top 10 is, and then we pan to the actors, and we play little clips. It's just kind of like, here are if some runner-ups if we feel like we need to.
Yeah, if there's an honorable mention, definitely throw it out there for sure.
Okay. And we'll break it down. We have the Tom Dailies.
Yep.
Okay. And we'll have the normal awards of actor, director, cinematographer, that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. And then within that, I'm going to surprise you. I'm going to surprise Vin, folks, with our own separate awards within the Tom Daly Awards.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
They're Tom Daly Awards that I don't know about.
Right.
And I will also award on the fly.
And maybe it might be an every year thing. We might scrap these awards for next year. We'll really see how it goes.
We'll see. I like the surprise element. It's definitely more of a game here.
But to go through one more time, folks, we covered around 83 new films this year. We covered 138 old. Now, there might be a few more than that. But again, some of these January episodes didn't really make it on the list because we were covering just different things. But that's so, Vin, I think for your awards, we're talking 2022 specific.
Yeah.
For the other awards within the Tom Daly umbrella, for the most part, all.
Okay.
Just so you know.
I love that.
And for the people to know.
And it's a better list.
Right.
Maybe if the January episodes were kind of there were a lot of 2021 films. There were some good ones there. I remember.
There's some poopy ones, too. Some poopy boys. But we'll get into that,
some
too.
Poopy boys, yeah.
Okay, so, I think let's start with the lesser categories and build our way up. Honestly, let's get some stuff out of the way with animated.
Oh, out of the way. You're breaking my heart.
Well, we had a savior last week come in at the last moment. Okay.
Otherwise, it was pretty dismal. And even within last week's episode, we had a bad animated as well.
You want to start with animated?
All right, yeah. Let's do animated. So best animated, I think, without a doubt, has to go to Del Toro's Pinocchio. And not only that because of its recent, top of mind recently on the episode, but score-wise as well, it is up there on all of what we scored this year.
We barely have anything over the 80s for this year. Like it might be 5 or even less, 4 or 5. And Del Toro's Pinocchio got a 83%, which is huge, and it was the last film we did of the year, which is crazy.
Yeah. Outrageous, and also, but very grateful as well.
I know we had some stinkers in there, and shockingly, I don't think anyone would say this for the movies that came out this year. Would you say an honorable mention would have to be The Sea Beast?
I think so. Yeah,
totally forgotten about by everyone.
Yeah,
pushed away by Netflix. You gave it a 79%. The visuals were cool. It was a pirate type theme stuff, and it's maybe don't sleep on it. 79 is a great score.
Absolutely,
and it was going to be It was only Del Toro's Pinocchio to come in at the last second.
Right, last minute, Dark Horse coming in. Sea Beast, I think, is a perfect example of a theme we hit on throughout the year, that Netflix's marketing and what is pushed out is so asinine. It makes no sense. And for Sea Beast to be so high quality and so true to form. Like, it was really just a great pirate movie, kids aside, animated aside. I thought it was an awesome pirate movie. So to have that as an honorable mention, I think is well deserved.
Yeah, and I hope people don't sleep on it. Like, you can forget Turning Red. I didn't hate it. I didn't give it the best
we
score.
go back to that episode. I think you hated it.
You gave it a 73. But otherwise,
you did not.
And you did like The Bad Guys. Actually, Bad Guys got 75.
Yeah, Bad Guys was great.
So maybe there were some decent. See, the problem is I'm drawn right away to like Lightyear and the stuff that really kind of failed. Minions. So,
absolutely.
Luck. Dragon Ball Superhero.
Yeah, but even some of the anime releases. I mean, we did Deer King and whatnot. I would love nothing more than to give an anime and best animated.
Yeah.
But it's been a while since we've had a real big heavy hitter.
I know. We ended the year with Wendell and Wild, Strange World. Just not heavy hitters whatsoever.
Exactly.
Whatsoever. But okay, so the Tom Daly.
Tom Daly goes to Del Toro's Pinocchio by Guillermo del Toro.
We're going to see how much we can keep these sound effects up here. We'll see.
The battery's gonna run out.
Okay, so this is the most informal thing. Where do you want to go off next, Vin?
How about I go down up? How about that?
I don't even know what that means, but go for it.
Let's do best editing. Because I don't have an honorable mention on this one, but I did put a lot of thought into best editing.
Okay, I love it.
So best editing, it's hard to think back and remembering how editing made me feel watching a film. But there was definitely one film when looking at this huge list, a lot of movies here, at least the 2022 list, that I remember how editing played into comedy, how editing played into just how we consume the film, how a very bold setup, a bold concept was digestible through editing. So the Tom Daly for best editing has to go to Paul Rogers for Everything Everywhere All at Once.
That's a great one. That's
absolutely.
A great one. I think too. Sorry,
the audience was the audience was taking a drink.
So I think
collectively.
I think that's great. First of all, I'm glad that we even take a note of editing.
Yeah.
And even when you go on our site, we might not be like IMDb where we have the full credits
Sure.
of every single human being that worked on the film, but we do have a space where we mention film editing.
Yep.
I don't think enough critics talk about it.
Yeah.
I don't think it ever comes up in the videos or the written reviews, anything.
Yeah.
And I think because it helps make a film so much. And I think throughout the year you'd be shocked with how much you have mentioned film editing.
Absolutely.
It
Hard
ma-
to go back from a bird's eye, though.
Yeah.
You know?
It's funny with everything everywhere. I wouldn't have maybe guessed it, but as soon as you said it, it's just like, oh, of course that's what it is.
Yep.
Wow. Okay. So film editing goes to everything everywhere all at once.
Yep, Paul Rogers. And I mean, even in that, we don't really remember editors. If anything, directors oftentimes get that editing. I mean, Edgar Wright is a perfect example of that. His editing and directing is kind of one and the same. So, well done, Mr. Rogers. Everything Everywhere, a great movie.
Got a 77, yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe not to the heights of what it was getting praised at.
Sure,
Hundreds and such and such.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
5 out of 5s,
Yeah.
but 77 is a good score for us.
Absolutely. And a very fun movie.
And unique. It was nice that Hollywood was coming out with something like this.
Absolutely.
Okay, so next we want to jump into VFX.
Sure, we can do VFX.
Or am I breaking up your thing?
No. More so, I skipped VFX just because it was, we already talked about it. I mean, VFX. I mean, we talk about visual effects. The actual CGI, practical effects, explosions. I feel it's something that we talk about quite a bit.
Yes.
It's something that you're interested in.
It's it's been, I mean...
And it's kind of always been a common ground for us, like caring about it and caring about when it's done well and when it's done very poorly.
And most of the time it's been, I'm a big time stickler for it.
Yeah.
I'm such a practical effects kind of guy.
Right.
Especially because when you look at it, I would give it more slack if it was so much cheaper to do and easier. It's not. And oftentimes it's more expensive and you need just the teams of the digital department.
Yeah.
And so often it just looks absolutely terrible. And it's that uncanny valley of something's off. I cannot jump 100% into this world right now and buy what you're giving me.
The immersion of it, absolutely.
Yeah, it just doesn't work. And it's always been a huge bugaboo of mine. Total difference between Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit are always my go-to in my head and everything like that. Things why I love The Revenant so much is the lighting, the natural lighting that's used.
Sure.
And just the practicality of good old-fashioned working with your environment, even though there's not too much that needs to be CGI anyway in that film. But you know what I mean?
But it's in the edges of the frame.
Yeah, realism and things like that, not this glossy fakeness.
Sure. Obviously,
Always a
big focus, and with how much Marvel we covered this year and how much superhero we covered this year.
A lot of bad superhero this year.
It's pre-viz. Pre-viz production refers to the visual effects being done before shooting even happens, or even before they wrap shooting. So when it comes to that's really hard to judge, because sometimes I don't want to rip into something visual effects wise when I know it is tireless labor, horrendous hours for these visual effects artists, and truly artists at that level.
No doubt.
In just the same way with animation, but it's something that we care quite a lot about. So I definitely have a runner up, but the Tom Daly for best visual effects has to go to Del Toro's Pinocchio once again.
Wow.
Him and the Jim Henson Company absolutely killed the design. And you may think, well, it's kind of hard pressed to call that visual effects. I would argue because it's stop motion and how good, excessively good that stop motion looks. Guess what? I mean, it is all visual effects work.
Again, kind of that surprises me a little bit.
Yeah.
Again, I don't know what it'd be. 2022. I don't know. Not the most impressed with this year.
Sure.
Certainly.
Yep.
But man, that kind of shocks me.
Yep.
It kind of shocks me.
I have two kind of tied runner-ups in my mind.
I'm very interested to hear these runner-ups.
Okay. So I think both are a little hard-pressed, and that's why I don't think it gave it, where Del Toro's production and the Jim Henson Company's production behind it.
Yeah.
I was just so thrilled with. It was easy. It was an easy win for me.
Yeah.
I think
I'm not upset about it, by the way.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
We're on the same page. We got to be on the same page for the Tom Dailies. It's two halves. I think as much as I was a hater for it, I have to give credit to, of course, Top Gun Maverick, visual effects wise.
I appreciate you saying that.
Yeah.
I appreciate you saying that.
I cannot be a emerging industry voice without giving credit to, the incredible work to keep the real and keep CGI in the edges of the frame almost unnoticeable to it.
I was going to bring this up later in a different segment.
Okay.
I'll do it now.
Do it
Because
up.
I also wanted to tie it into Top Gun Maverick because it's almost all real.
Sure.
Almost all real.
Right.
And a lot of natural lighting.
Yep.
Which there wasn't a lot of digital lighting at all. A lot of it they shot specifically when the weather was perfect or the proper opportune thing in the time frame that it was. And that's I want to tie back to The Revenant because something about that I really, really appreciate.
Yeah, absolutely.
And, as generic...
It's kind of an older fashioned way of doing things,
Yes,
honestly.
and I'll tell you what, as generic as the writing was, as generic as the character development was, and as kind of vanilla the acting was, the practical effects and the action was, it's worth mentioning.
Yeah.
I'm glad you mentioned that.
Absolutely. Second honorable mention, and I'll put a cap on this, and this is more so just because I really enjoyed this director's return and how much he was able to cut through my expectations of what was going to be probably trash was Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness.
So I was going to actually bring that up. I didn't think you were going to say it,
Yeah.
and I was going to ask you about it.
Sam Raimi being able to make arguably the first horror Marvel movie.
Yeah.
Which is being explored more. There was a horror short called Werewolf by Midnight that's now being explored on Disney Plus.
Okay.
So definitely crack things open. And just how Sam Raimi that movie was, arguably more Sam Raimi than the Drag Me to Hell, of which we covered that week as kind of a lead up to it. I gotta show some love to what he was able to do in the exact same scenario where I expected pre-viz trash, kind of a disassociation with what was going on visually and what's obviously was going on film-wise with the director and what their vision was.
Because I would have just assumed it was just schlock, just normal, terrible VFX.
Sure.
But it worked, at least.
Absolutely. We can't, do spoilers even in this type of setting.
Right. But there was stuff that looked good.
Yeah, specifically towards the end. And again, the best thing I can say is, this this film lives up to the legacy of what Sam Raimi produces and directs. In such a meaningful nod, but also that looks fantastic. I got to give at least a little bit of credit there. Honorable mention for sure.
I love that. I love that. That's all good.
Yeah.
Okay, so the Tom Daly for VFX went to
Del Toro's
Pinocchio. Okay,
he forgot. And then I guess appropriately the Jim Henson Company.
Okay. Yes. Okay, that's fair too.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, Vin. Moving on. What's our next award?
Best score and sound. You want to do?
Yes.
All right.
Okay, so best score, best sound. I feel like.
You give me some thoughts on this.
Well, no, I'm thinking about just for our category. I was just going to tell folks, it's our first year, so we're getting our feet wet, and we're trying to see what works and what doesn't. But I kind of like the idea of it doesn't need to be one, if there's not an orchestrator, if it's a band, if it's just an overall soundtrack that is absolutely killer. I almost like this best music or something like that, or whatever we want to. Not so
like that.
pigeonholed to classic, the guy.
Right.
Or woman. But okay, that being said, standouts for me this year as far as music, I don't know. I'd really have to kind of think about it, honestly, because nothing sticks out as far as being unbelievably, I don't know. The Batman soundtrack, just that overarching, kind of menacing, I really like that. Other than that, I don't know. I maybe could have looked through the list a little bit better thinking about that in mind, but
it's hard from the bird's eye and remembering how things other than story, things other than performances, background aspects played into the feeling at the time, just like editing.
But I'll tell you what, if there's one thing that we talk about more than editing, more than VFX, as much as we bring that up, is definitely music.
It's always music.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So what are some runner-ups?
I think I have a 50-50 split.
Oh, really?
Yeah. We're breaking the rules. Take out the buzzsaw. Line it up. We are splitting the Tom Daly.
Oh, my God. The audience is cracking up here, folks. Wow. Okay. All right. Let's quiet down. Quiet down. Thank you.
We got to have a bandsaw sound effect next time.
So let's do a 50-50 split, I guess. Never before in Tom Daly's history has this happened, folks. This is history in the making.
I can make the tough decision if you want me to.
Well, let's just go through. Let's just go ahead and name both. What are we talking about?
Well, you hit on it already. Michael Giacchino for the Batman.
Oh, really?
definitely, I think is my honorable mention if I have to give one to someone specific. When it
funny.
comes, yeah, I mean, as far as the Batman taking something, the Batman's just been done to death, and
no doubt
to have a unique identity, the church bells, the organ, and to make it so gothic, and to have that play into the style of a darker Gotham, a year 2 Batman. I mean, I think it was a really perfect example of just form matching function. You know what I mean? It is really. Giacchino killed it, and I've always loved him as a composer, going all the way back to the Star Trek remakes.
I love the Star Trek remakes. I love the tunes there.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And he clearly has a good insight into switching things up, but also not making it, an oddball soundtrack. It sounds like Batman without having to be a copycat to someone as prolific as Hans Zimmer that left such a footprint on it.
And would you agree this is perfect 2-year detective noir?
Absolutely.
Like, definitely darker, emo-ish Batman.
Yeah, running makeup in the rain.
I love it. Okay, and what gets the that if you had to really pick, that's your runner-up.
Yeah.
To the fact that I pulled it out, does it lift it up at all?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's, if anything, where I would want to split it.
Okay. But gun to your head, this is the one.
Gun to my head.
What is the one that...
Bullet in the chamber has to go to Disaster Piece for Bodies, Bodies, Bodies. I think this is a fan favorite for me. I love Disaster Piece, but also what he was able to do.
Yeah, it's a person, not a band, right? That's a specific artist,
just what he was able to do with creating such a interesting soundtrack, not like pop hits that you would hear on the radio, but still kind of obviously making the soundtrack feel like something that these kids would listen to within the soundtrack itself. On top of that as well, his actual score in this is everything that I love for how retro chiptune and very, very horror themed his music can be sometimes. So the Tom Daly for best sound and score, best music goes to Disaster Piece.
I think that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Because I think people are going to sleep on that movie a little bit. But don't forget, it's a whodunit that you love. We talked about it last week because we were talking about Glass Onion.
Yep.
And the fact that the soundtrack also is a killer. That adds. You really liked Bodies, Bodies, Bodies.
Absolutely.
What score did it get, actually?
I think I gave it high 70s, I want to say.
Yes. 76, a very good score. Definitely a different whodunit. You really like the writing in that film.
Yeah.
Again, another one kind of came and went a little bit, as did so many of these 2022 films did, actually. But I love it. Disaster Piece, Tom Daly goes to it.
Yep.
And a shout out to the Batman from the both of us.
Absolutely. Both amazing scores. Both scores that I've listened to continuing after the review, after my review process.
Yeah, very cool. And I would say it's great that, you said this a few times, which I think is awesome, but oftentimes when you go back and are writing your notes per film, you'll go back and listen to the soundtrack while you write the notes.
Puts me in kind of the headspace of the feel of the movie.
And no one's doing that. I'll brag about it for you. No one's doing that.
You'll pump me up.
It's ridiculous. And I love it.
Yeah.
Very cool. Okay, we start to get into some bigger categories here. Do we want to step into... Actually, what's left? Is there anything else?
Cinematographer, then we're getting into like the actor, director, actress.
So already I almost want to take a note... A lot of my notes there on Maverick could have been also really cinematography as well.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, something like the lighting stuff, maybe...
If not even more, because of what was done with the physical jets.
Yeah, I guess it really goes in cinematography, my praise for that. Not so much VFX.
No, the thing is, why Maverick is notable with VFX is because I think of how unnoticeable the visual effects work is.
So the lack of visual effects.
But, that's the kind of the artistry of it. You want it unnoticeable. You want it in the edges of the frame. You want it enhancing the feel, not necessarily being the subject.
Okay.
But
so what are some runner-ups?
So I would say Tom Daly, first time, three-way split. No, I have a runner-up of what I saw.
Okay.
And then I have a runner-up of something I didn't see. The one I didn't see is Empire of Light, and that's Roger Deakins.
Came out in December.
Yep.
Roger Deakins is we talk about him often. And
Heavy
I would say,
hitter, yeah.
Number one on our list.
I think so. I mean, as far as I'm honestly, I don't track cinematographers even as much as I love.
We do talk about it a lot.
The look, yeah. But Deakins is always someone that I can always spot his work. We covered him in the assassination of Jesse James.
I think in other films this year.
Yeah.
Because there was one thing you were like, I love the sound. Oh no, you were like, this looks great, and you went back and looked, and you were like,
and it was Deakins.
Deakins, of course. I think that happened a couple times.
Yeah. And so I haven't seen Empire of Light. I mean, boy, if seeing Babylon and Fablemans was pulling teeth in theaters, I don't know if I'm going to be able to see Empire of Light in theaters. I might have to wait for a rent on that one.
Yeah, it might be secondary theaters though too.
Yeah.
You know, in the smaller chains when it after that month gap kind of.
Sure. But when it comes to that, Roger Deakins, I just know I'm definitely going to like it in some way for cinematography. So I wanted to give a special nod for that.
Okay.
I would say honorable mention runner-up probably has to be RRR. The guy is KK Senthil Kapoor, and I mean,
surprises me.
RRR is just such a massive production, and yeah, that doesn't all lie on cinematography.
Right.
I think you watch the first real action sequence within the first 20 minutes when they're in the prison yard in that movie, and you see why cinematography makes it all work. It is a doozy to handle,
and it is it's a bit of a visual feast as well, right? It's just because there's so much going on.
Yeah,
and then that over 3-hour film. I think?
It's a lot. Yeah. The founding fathers Marvel movie that RRR is, but yeah, I really got to give credit there because if it was this was one that I really put a lot of thought into because again, it's hard to recall all of the beats that I liked in cinematography, but I really took my time on this one to kind of
going through the list. Were there some standouts though?
Absolutely.
Like this was like okay, and this is runner up. This does not get the award.
Yeah,
right?
No. This is runner up.
Yeah.
Tom Daly for best cinematographer.
Here we go. Okay,
goes to Ben Davis for Banshees of Inisherin. I think,
really?
Oh yeah.
Wow.
Thinking back and going through, it also just hit HBO Max, so I was able to return to some of the actual frames of it, which was a big help.
Wow.
Returning to this, just some of the atmosphere that is able to be conjured. Obviously, the extreme rural atmosphere that is in Banshees.
Yeah.
I think that loneliness, that plays a part in the story that is being told about the ending of this friendship. And that loneliness is sold. Yeah, it's sold by dialogue. It's sold by a little bit of the music, but it's sold by the cold, crisp, Atlantic atmosphere that is coming from this remote island.
Yeah, it surprises. I knew it was beautiful when you did touch on the cinematography, and just exactly that. It plays into itself that where you're at speaks to this story.
Yep.
But I'm shocked that it's on the list, that it got the award, just because you could definitely say it's such. I mean, you take RRR in this,
right?
Very different.
Yeah.
And where I don't want to knock it for saying it's simple, the simplicity of it, but it is, and that's what kind of makes it magical as well. But boy, it was that good, and that had its own character so much.
Absolutely.
That made it worth it. Yeah.
And I think it's specifically how it plays into the story.
I love that.
It's the melding of the two together.
Because I think that's getting some award nods.
Yeah.
I don't think that's one of them, though.
Really?
For cinematographer. No, well, yeah, I think
for cinematographer specifically.
Exactly, yeah. But it's getting love in other areas.
And hopefully, because, I mean... Otherwise, what am I looking at for best cinematographer? It's probably going to go to
Pinocchio or Multiverse.
Guillermo del Toro.
You know what? You're right about the Avatar thing.
Yeah, because the camera tech itself, not top of mind. It didn't crack $1 billion. Yeah, I mean that's definitely the elephant in the room. But
people are going to be bitching about that one. That wasn't even not even a runner-up.
Not even the runner-up.
But the Banshees of Inisherin, I love it. I mean, you gave it a 74, which is a good movie.
I know.
But not great, not in your must-sees or anything like that. Yeah. But the cinematography, if it's playing that much of a role, it's special. It's cool.
Yeah,
and it was beautiful looking. I know the shots from it were beautiful.
Mm-hmm. And folks at home, I mean, we talked a little bit about maybe kind of a segment where a return to some scores and whatnot. If you'd like to see that, if you'd like to hear that, write in, let us know. But I think I stand by my rating within the Sheeran. Even though I do, I've kind of come to love the movie even more with some time passing.
Okay.
I still think the score is great, and it is a great movie. So.
Awesome. Okay, Vin. All right, so the Tom Daly for cinematography goes to
Ben Davis.
Banshees of Inisherin. Ben Davis. Cool, man.
Yep. Hopefully we'll keep track of Ben. Because I was like, who's Ben Davis?
I think he's in a decent amount. I think he does it. I think his name really, I think, pops up more than you would think on the site. Like putting up previous movies.
Oh, really? Really?
Yeah. It just rings a bell.
That's another thing where I think why editing and cinematographer talent gets lost in the shuffle is because they're much more working professionals.
Yeah.
They're on so many more productions, so it's kind of hard to spot trends or stylings. When they have to probably conform to directors or studio asks. So,
very true. And I think the top guys are the ones that have you listen to it and you watch it, and it's like, oh, it might be this guy, like some of the guys we talked about. Yeah.
Roger Deakins.
Yeah, like a Deakins or something. Yeah.
And it took Deakins famously, or maybe even infamously, forever to get an Oscar win. I think he finally got it for 1917. If I remember correctly.
Oh wow! Okay.
Yeah.
Well, he deserved it for that, but yeah.
Yeah, but like it took so long for him to get that nod. Yeah, just is what it is. But I know what I like, and Banshees was gorgeous, and again combined, the feeling of the film with the look of the film.
Cool. All right, coming up on the Tom Dalys, our next award is for.
You want to do actor, actress?
Yeah, let's do Best Actress.
Okay.
Of 2022, what were some runner-ups?
I think runner-up for Best Actress has to be Cate Blanchett.
Runner-up?
Yeah.
Wow.
He's ready to go to battle for his girl.
No. I mean, it's just if I had money and had to place a bet,
yeah,
I thought she was getting the award.
I put a lot of thought into this one just because. Well, I mean, Blanchett is such a powerhouse in Tar. I think she's on the top of most people's lists. Yeah,
for this coming award ceremony.
And I mean,
award season.
I wasn't too hot on Tar. Again, going back to the review, I really don't like how it ends.
You said this thing that saved it. You gave it a 66, and you said what kept it out of almost the 40s, low 50s was her performance alone.
Absolutely.
And how much it's on her shoulders.
And I agree with that. She's able to juggle such a demanding role, highbrow, orchestral talk,
and huge amount
music
of dialogue
history, music theory. These things are not without seeing that she's making a conscious effort to have some expertise there.
Yeah.
It'd be one thing if she's just saying the lines; she's selling it as well.
Yeah,
and I think she really sells this performance as a high-end composer.
Wow, I can't.
What do you think?
I have no idea. I mean, I know it's not Ana de Armas for Blonde. So let's just.
What if it was?
Yeah.
No.
And the Tom Daly for Best Actress goes too.
Danielle Deadwyler for Till. I think she has to get it. For me, she was able to bring such motherhood to the role. I praised that film over and over again in that review of how lasered in it was on telling this story and not having any fat, any alternative motives of just honoring Emmett Till as as a tragic character, as a tragic event. And I think what I returned to, and this was a one that I really had to just look at the list and just stare at it for a while. And what kept on coming to me, despite a very good score for Till, I think I gave it an 80 on the dot.
80 on the dot.
What was coming back to me is when I saw on just the name Till and an 80, I remembered so much of the emotion that she was able to bring and how real it felt to a grieving mother.
Wow.
Yeah, I think she's a powerhouse, and I think she's well-deserved of the Tom Daly for Best Actress.
That is awesome. Wow. Fantastic. And it goes to, how do you pronounce her last name?
Deadwyler, I think?
That's right. Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Damn, okay. Wow. From Till. That's fantastic. And I'm glad Blanchett was a runner-up. I think you're going to be hearing a lot about her.
Yeah, she may get the, come Oscar time, she may get it.
She probably will. I love it. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, goes to Danielle.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Absolutely. Well deserved.
Okay, so Vin, now we go on to Best Actor. Mm-hmm. Let's just talk about this year.
Okay.
Do you think it was? I feel like it was lacking in both categories. I think female performances. I think we were lacking a lot as far as films that came out. I wish there were more stronger, really good, catchy female performances.
Sure.
I thought it was lacking a little bit. I also think for the males a little bit too.
I think more so the males. I thought it was a pretty strong year for female.
Oh wow! Okay,
but definitely in the swing that both were a little bit weaker, and I think the male performances were definitely weaker. So much so that these two that I have an honorable mention in the win. Really, the only ones that I think are kind of worthwhile.
Deserves to be mentioned.
Yeah.
Like it's going to be tough to pick a top 5 for the Globes or which they did or the Oscars, whatever.
I mean, I'm sure stuff. People will get it, and then obviously we're not covering like a best supporting or something like that. But I'm telling you,
we talk about the supportings during when we're. We're doing the films. We got enough going on this episode.
We got enough going on.
So what are these? Let's go through runner-up for Best Male Lead.
Runner-up is definitely Colin Farrell for Banshees of Inisherin.
Oh, wow. Okay, all right.
It really, all it boils down to, he is able to conjure that little donkey that he brings around. He is like a human version of the donkey he has as a pet. It's so... He's able to conjure such sadness, and again, I mean, going back to that review, I mean, it is all about the performances there. It is all about that relationship falling apart.
Yeah, it's heavy dialogue, just heavy. It is on
very
the actors.
Irish. Yeah. But for the Tom Daly of Best Actor, we got to give it to the man's return, Brendan Fraser for The Whale.
There we go. Oh, wait a second. That's right.
Yeah. We forgot the audience.
Finally, Brendan Fraser. He's standing. He's standing.
He lost the weight.
Wow. No disagreements there.
Yeah.
I'm happy that you said that. I'm happy that even the film that got a 67, I think. Even you got 71, which is a good movie, but. I mean, talk about just much of Cate Blanchett was carrying that movie on her back. It's not that The Whale was Brendan Fraser's movie, and that's it, basically. He had 4 characters other than that. A little bit of his daughter for the most part, but it was him. It was his movie to have, and he crushed it.
And to hear his return is so triumphant. The 22-minute standing ovation kind of stories that he was getting and whatnot. I mean, again, going back to the review, I think The Whale is a very messy, very complex film, but Fraser was on point for the whole time, and I think
this is a big deal.
he's back, folks. So
if they snub him anywhere else, it doesn't matter because this is the most important right here.
Yeah, absolutely.
I wanted to maybe give another Brendan Fraser. Congratulations on your award, 2022. Tom Daly goes to you.
Yeah.
One name that had to be at least floating around in your mind, okay, if you were looking at this list for a while, was Austin Butler for Elvis.
I think so, absolutely. Just because he was able to capture such a exactness to Elvis. You look at the side-by-sides, I think...
Was there a reason why he wasn't in the conversation, really, or in top? Maybe he was third on your list.
I think Elvis, the product of the film was unlike a Tar, unlike a Whale, was truly tarnished by the director and Tom Hanks as well, as far as the feel of the entire film.
Okay.
I feel like Butler's performance was more along for the ride of those two styles. The very strong narration from Tom Hanks, and then the very strong stylings of...
Oh my gosh.
Baz
Luhrmann, or whatever his face is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I feel like he was not able to...
It's a little more harsh than I thought.
Yeah. I mean, listen, he did a great job, and if anything, I think he will probably be in the tops of the list for the year, for sure.
Okay, very good. All right, so those are actors and actor. Brendan Fraser, congratulations. Welcome back. Most importantly.
All right, then let's get the heavy hitters out of the way. Best picture, best director.
So I'm
what we're all here for, what the audience is in the seats for.
I'm excited to hear about director.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I don't think it's going to match oftentimes where they will coincide.
Oh, very true.
Best picture and best director. I don't think it will this year.
Yeah.
And I think there's a bunch for directors, and I think there's one I'm going to bring up later, which I can almost assure you is not on your list right here.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah, and I'm excited to talk about it, but that'll be later.
I think director was a real hard one. Andrew Dominik for Blonde. Not that Blonde. I mean, Blonde was a hell of a ride. But I just think
surprises me though.
He was someone that was able to not compromise on his own stylings.
And you made that comment
Yeah.
when it came out too.
Yeah,
we
Blonde
both
seems like more of a his movie than it is a Marilyn Monroe movie. So
we both like this movie. I think more than most people.
yeah.
I
think
say.
people are just repulsed by it, honestly.
Maybe. I mean, you gave it 75, good score, and
Yeah.
I got to tell you, I think I'm right there with you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
But good honorable mention though.
Yeah. Some other honorable mentions. I mean, more so just as far as strong year. I mean, I was not a huge fan of Fabelmans, but Spielberg was able to
Wow, really?
put his mark on this mature family drama, and as well. I mean, he basically made a soft biopic for himself.
Yeah.
Which I don't know. I mean, not many directors get their own biopic like that, So
very true,
You can say
yeah.
it's conceited. You can say it's a puff piece, but I thought it was interesting. But honestly, a slew of other honorable mentions I can give because I really do love studying directors, seeing how the films play into it.
It's much easier to have kind of a top 5 for this one.
Yeah, absolutely. But right down to the meat of it, there was only one director that returned from hiatus and arguably made his most defining feature that plays and fits right along with the type of movies he was making in the heyday. We're going to go ahead and give the Tom Daly Best Director to David Cronenberg.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah, for Crimes of the Future. I think Cronenberg's return from his hiatus.
So good. So good.
He made a movie that could fit right along with the release of Scanners and Videodrome. I mean, it felt like the quintessential Cronenberg movie.
People are going to forget about this film this year.
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to come
I think
up on
people
most
forgot about
people's
it already.
list. Yeah, especially when it comes to director and everything like that.
Yep.
You have to forget about what this guy continues to do.
Yep.
He wanted to make this for decades, first of all.
Right.
And you were astounded by it. People who watched it it was shocking. It was weird. It was new.
Yep.
From like an old school director too. I love that.
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
he totally deserves it.
Absolutely.
And I think no one's going to give him love this year.
That's the unfortunate thing, and not that I'm just kind of picking the
No, not at all.
The more hipster choice, if you will, or anything like that. But when it comes to Cronenberg, I mean, I loved Crimes of the Future.
Yep.
That was one of my favorite episodes that we did that this year. That week of movies was definitely all about like movies that I wanted to watch. So very enjoyable. Again, it really just boils down to not only is he coming back from a hiatus, not only does this film fit in the type of films that he was making in his prime, but arguably is probably his best film.
I was going to say, it's which is it just doesn't. It's not supposed to work like that. It's not supposed to work.
You're
like
supposed
that
to
at
have
all.
a couple years in the sun, and that's it. I mean, you only have a handful of movies that are considered the greatest, and then you kind of burn out. Not the case here, and not the case with Crimes of the Future at all.
Wow, Crimes of the Future. David Cronenberg, best director for 2022.
Yeah.
I love that.
Absolutely.
I really, really like that.
Yeah.
Because I think it's so deserving. It's like you said, it's not because you're going against the grain or anything like that. It's how you truly feel. And I think if people are being honest when they look, I think it's got to be, if you watch these films, it'd be hard pressed that it wouldn't be on your top 3.
Yeah.
Because what he's delivering there.
Yeah.
Wow, fantastic.
Yeah. What are these others that you're thinking of? I know one, but I want to see if you...
No, what's
I think it's Edgar Berger, something Berger, for All Quiet, the German guy.
Yes.
Because he's a younger director.
He does.
too.
Yeah, he deserves. You're right. I mean, that would be top 3. That would be top 3. I just think that people are going to go a little bit more generic. That's all. Like I think people are just going to say James Cameron to be James Cameron.
Oh, sure.
Like, you know what I mean?
Once again, the elephant in the room is splashing water on the audience.
I'm surprised. I'm surprised something in your comments that Del Toro had actually didn't pop up.
Sure.
Just for what Pinocchio was and what he was able to do with that, and especially going against a rival Pinocchio that came out the same year.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think yours makes a lot of sense because when you look at these films, it's just like, what else would it really go to?
Yeah.
Like I said,
Yeah.
I think there's some obvious ones that I think a lot of people would just assume, but I love it. I mean, maybe maybe the Banshees of Inisherin as well.
Sure.
He's
Brando.
so good.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Absolutely. I mean, I think when it comes down to it, I mean, not that a director has to go on a vacation or a hiatus. I mean, I guess Cameron technically did that as well. but yeah, like I said, I just thought it was such a perfect storm and such a triumphant return for him.
awesome.
So,
Love it.
Yeah.
Okay, so the big boy. Here we
big
go.
boy.
This
big
is
boy alert.
Best motion picture of the year 2022, Vin.
Yep.
We covered almost all of them that came out this year, with the exception of maybe a few, and we're probably still going to cover them here.
Right,
But
right.
what were some runner-ups? What are some honorable mentions when it comes to the best picture of the year?
So, I mean, I think this one has to kind of be by the numbers a little bit.
Yeah.
I
It's
think
almost like we make it easy for ourselves. Because,
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, I think runner-up is definitely Del Toro Pinocchio. But as as it works in real life, if it's up for best animated, it's gonna get snubbed from everything else.
Yeah.
So,
and that's not how we have to work either.
No,
we're not hard pressed. But I mean, the honorable, right? We go by numbers, and like we said earlier, there's 4 above 80%. That's all this year.
Absolutely.
We had Del Toro's Pinocchio at 83. We had Till at 80. And we had Crimes of the Future at 82. I think Crimes of the Future could definitely be in the conversation for Best Picture for what it does. But like you said, there's really only one film came in with an 85%.
Yep, there's only one big boy alert, and we gotta give Best Picture. The Tom Daly goes to All Quiet on the Western Front, a huge movie.
So deserving.
Yeah.
I gave it 2 shoes, 2 laces.
Yep.
Which I only ever did that for the Lord of the Rings trilogy.
And folks, that means a lot. Yeah. I cannot stress that enough. A lot. Tom loves Lord of the Rings.
I just think another film on Netflix that came and went.
Yeah.
And because you could switch it over to English subtitles. I loved watching it with German subtitles.
Yeah.
It just immerses you more into what the picture's supposed to be.
Yep.
And I loved it. I'm shocked that for me, a subtitle film won. Not that I'm bad at reading subtitles.
Sure,
Sometimes
it's a real talk.
Like, you have to be in the right mood sometimes. You know, I mean, you look at how good Parasite was and everything like that. But boy, this movie, I think for this year, I think we're both in agreement.
Yeah.
I mean, I really think we're both in agreement on this one.
It's by the numbers of what actually
by the shoes. It's by the shoes.
He's marching to the Western Front. It was just such a tremendous performance. And what I go back to when I'm looking at this list, I watched the original All Quiet on the Western Front.
Yep,
and
from 1930.
I think, man, I'm not one to say, oh, it's the newer one, it's got to be better. You know, if anything, it's always the inverse. That I like the original, the originator.
If there's a rule, it would be original. Yeah.
And to see this done just to the nines, to have a modern production, but also fit into the true heavy message of the original book, the original work. I mean, it was a killer production. Just one of those great war movies that you absolutely have to make time for.
Yes, do not sleep on it.
Yeah.
I wish I could have saw this in theaters.
Absolutely,
it deserves to be on theaters.
Big IMAX, big Dolby, absolutely.
And I think everyone, take time to watch it, or like legitimately get some friends together, whoever has the biggest screen, have some popcorn, and like actually go out of your way to enjoy this movie. Turn the lights off, make sure your lighting is right, the sound is good. It's a film that's really, really good. Such a shame that this is the one where it's like, God, it's on Netflix and they're not really, they're not really pushing it. Like, I mean, Glass Onion got 4 times the amount of praise and the chatter. But here we have for the final time, All Quiet on the Western Front. It's just so good.
Absolutely, well deserved.
It so deserves it.
Well deserved.
As the audience agrees too. Not the first time you said it, but for the second time.
They were nodding off a little bit.
Really good though, Vin.
Yeah,
because I don't know
any on here that you would disagree with, like flat out.
Like, no, I'm not upset about anything that you said.
Sure.
Like,
no snubs.
I'm surprised. Like, I will say, if you gave me the categories, I don't think that Del Toro's Pinocchio would win 2.
Okay.
But I
Fair
understand that they won.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But there's nothing that you said that I was truly kind of shocked about. The one, Banshees and Sharon kind of surprised me that it got a win and basically a nomination too, if you want to look at it that way.
Yeah, right.
So I mean I don't think there's anything like I straight up disagree with. I don't know. And if I had these, I wouldn't be too far off from you. I don't think.
Yeah.
Like maybe I would put Cate Blanchett as the best actress, but honestly, it's I don't think anything there. I love that you gave everything everywhere all at once kind of came out towards the beginning of the year, and it had a lot of flash and bang when it came out, but it's been really quiet lately. Even in some of the chatter about the awards coming out.
Yep.
So I think the fact that won, I think that's really deserving of it in editing.
Absolutely. And hopefully it doesn't get forgotten. I think well deserved, but I think you have a good point that positioning in the year, it's what's top of mind usually.
Yeah, it's weird. It's weird. Maybe not how it always should be. But okay, all right. So, Best Director goes to Cronenberg.
Yep.
Best Film goes to All Quiet on the Western Front.
Yep.
Which I love. Let's get into some other of the awards that we have.
Let's get into the wild
Now, do you want me to
cards.
do some and then we'll jump into yours?
Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead, do the wild cards.
Okay, well,
I'm going to have to think on my feet here.
Okay, folks. So again, this is still Tom Daly Awards, but these are the awards within the awards. So they all have names, but it's the same trophy that are invisible. But you just picture whatever they are.
We'll send them out. Don't
Okay,
worry.
so we're gonna start. We're gonna start with. Yeah, I got the order that we're gonna go
Okay,
to. I'm gonna name what the award is.
Okay.
And say what the meaning of the award is.
Okay.
You know. Okay. So this is the Ryan Ruffalo Award, otherwise known as the Mark Reynolds. Okay. And
Otherwise known.
this is for the worst Ryan Reynolds and or Mark Ruffalo movie. And folks, this covers all of what we covered 22. This
Right.
is new films, old films, doesn't matter. Okay, so Vin, here we go.
It's a big one.
We have the Adam Project.
Okay.
Okay, you gave it 51%. Free Guy with a 31%. The Green Lantern with an 18. Spirited with a 29. And Spotlight, the Academy Award winners.
Academy Award winner.
Spotlight with a 73%. Okay, so one is not like the other.
Yeah, for real.
But
One only has Ruffalo.
it is the best.
He's getting
So-
booted out of his own award.
The Ryan Ruffalo, otherwise known as the Mark Reynolds, out of those goes to.
You know, it probably should go to Green Lantern. It's got to go to Free Guy, though.
So you could go by points on
Yeah.
this too. It's like, okay, so Green Lantern got an 18. It's got to be Green
but
Lantern.
Also, Green Lantern.
But
is a
as far
terrible
as
movie.
Ryan Reynolds goes,
Yeah,
you gave it to what?
Free Guy.
Wow,
Free Guy's got to
Free
get
Guy.
it. Yeah.
May I say you were wrong?
Really?
Yes. Believe it or not, there's right and wrong answers to this
You're
one.
right.
The Adam Project, because the Adam Project has both Ryan Reynolds and Mark Ruffalo.
Oh my god! Oh my god, he's so right. Oh wow.
Even though it's the second best
I
rated,
completely forgot.
it's got to be.
Some big variance in the scores there. You know what? If I can recall my vote,
Steve Harvey's coming in. He's saying he read it wrong, folks. He's read it wrong. Jimmy Kimmel's going to try to come in and wash this up here. So this is. Well, go ahead. I mean, you want to give it the Free Guy?
No. It's Adam Project.
I think pretty clearly the Adam Project.
I'll have to keep it. I'll have to keep a sharp wit about me when they're both in the same film.
Okay, so that again, Ryan Ruffalo, otherwise known as Mark Reynolds, within the Tom Daly's, goes to the Adam Project. Okay, so this next award is the Houdini Award
Okay.
for the film that could disappear and no one would care,
my God.
let alone notice.
There's a lot of those.
Okay, I think this is a pretty good award.
Yeah, I actually love that.
Houdini Award. Okay, the Adam Project, Free Guy, Operation Mincemeat,
Oof.
Waiting for the Barbarians, Beast, and Breaking.
Wow.
So I think some of these people would. It's like some of our listeners are going to forget some of these.
Yeah.
All these are also new, I think, except for Waiting for the Barbarians.
Yeah, but like within a year.
Yes. Yeah.
That has to go to Breaking. It was,
Really?
Oh yeah.
Okay. All right.
Because Breaking was like supposed to be like a serious movie for John Boyega, coming off the Star Wars trilogies. It was
So true.
Yeah, it was supposed to be like this big Dog Day Afternoon approach. It was right in the marketing, and
It was,
boy,
yeah.
in addition to just bores you to tears.
I think people would forget about Breaking.
I
It came
forgot
out
about
this
Breaking.
year.
I forgot
Came out
about
this year.
Breaking until you told me right now. One to add. Kimmy with Zoe Kravitz.
Kravitz.
Yeah. And that was a Soderbergh film.
I think that. Yes. Agreed.
Yeah. But very forgettable.
Soderbergh.
Not as
Boy,
forgettable.
that's a weird one.
I know,
God.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think he just had like a contract with HBO or something.
Okay, all right.
I don't know. Yeah.
Well, okay, so Waiting for Breaking, I would say Waiting for the Barbarians was kind of my pick for this. The reason why is because like I knew about the film and it took you 5 minutes of talking about it for me to be like, "Oh my god, I know this film." And then it just like going. It came and went. The story was slow and kind of boring.
yeah.
It was kind of just like, it just came and went.
I know, and especially with all the Johnny Depp news, it was still kind of
That's true.
unforgettable.
Yeah, so
This
true.
is like I think the last film he did. So,
Not quite.
Oh,
one
yeah,
of
he's
the
had
last
more?
one. One of the last ones. But okay, all right. So breaking this year. Houdini Award. Which okay, all right, very good.
That's a great category. I love that.
Do we want to throw some of yours in here?
No. I mean, I have a worst of the worst and a personal fave, but
Okay, so we'll save those.
Yeah, we'll save.
Okay. Next one is what I dub. This was going to be called the Jason Bourne Award. This is now changed. Okay. So within the Tom
Retconned.
Dailies, this is the Mr. Magoo Award. Okay, for the film that doesn't really know what it is, what it's doing, or where it's going.
Okay.
Okay. So,
I kind of like Jason Bourne, but yeah.
well, the thing is, Jason Bourne was extremely competent.
Right.
So these films are not competent. You know what I mean? Mr. Magoo, he's nearsighted, can't see anything. He's always just getting himself into trouble, doesn't know what he's doing, where he's going all the time. So I kind of changed it to Mr. Magoo.
I love it. Right.
Okay, so I definitely had to put on Catwoman. For the film that doesn't really understand that it's trying to be a motion picture and failing to be a motion picture in so many ways. Okay, I have Fantastic Beasts, Secret of Dumbledore, for forgetting about the fact that it's about the Fantastic Beasts.
Yes. That is
Right?
an excellent nomination, Tom.
We have Reindeer Games for thinking it's so much better than what it actually
It's
is.
the smartest film on the block.
I have this one. I think my next two won't really win.
Okay.
But I wanted to mention them just to give them
These nods
some
are great.
chatter.
These are great.
I have Minions, The Rise of Gru, for forgetting the target audience.
Yes,
And
it was this 70s love affair.
You said kids were silent in the film.
Yeah, it was like this disco affair. Like, yeah.
Okay, so I thought
Pet
that
rock jokes. Like, it was just like, the kids don't get this.
Right. And then I said Pinocchio, the one with Zemeckis
Yeah.
and Tom Hanks. And the reason why, again, I think it doesn't really deserve to win, but I want to put it on there because for failing so miserably up against another Pinocchio film,
Yep.
like not seeing so much what it needed to be, where it needed to go.
Yep.
You know? So that was that Pinocchio, the Disney Plus version. I made a note here saying every superhero movie.
Definitely Thor.
No, but every superhero movie not about the main superhero.
Oh, yes.
That was a huge through line
That
this year.
was, absolutely.
You talk about with Black Adam. He
Yep.
kind of took a second spot
Yep.
at times. We didn't really cover.
Black Widow.
I don't think we covered that. I think that was 2021.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
still,
It's a trend in hero movies.
did Morbius even take us?
Yeah,
Oh, Doctor Strange did.
Yep. Doctor Strange took a back seat in his own film.
So I thought that deserved a thing. And another reason why I'm happy that we did this special now and not 2 weeks ago, Babylon, for being so confused, not know
confused on
where
what
it's
it was.
going or
Oh
what it's
my
doing or
God.
what it is.
Oh, man.
So, what do you think? The Mr. Magoo Award within the
a
Tom
lot
Dailies.
of nominations, a lot of honorable mentions.
Yeah, there's not a set number in any of these.
Man,
Good list.
excellent list.
Yeah.
Like flawless list.
I figured I'd get you on Fantastic Beasts
I think
because that one had like one Ooh, he's thinking about it.
I think it gets it. I think it's absolutely
No.
fantastic.
No.
Because
Last week you said Babylon is the messiest film. You said even over Elvis.
even over Amsterdam,
Yeah.
which both equally can be on the list as well.
I know I was going to put him on, but I figured that was good enough.
I think you made the
Wasn't even on your radar.
Yeah, the dots connected when you said Fantastic
Mm-hmm.
Beasts, because I just remember just watching those movies and being like, how do they fundamentally misunderstand? And it's crazy that Catwoman isn't winning because Catwoman is
It's the second worst movie
Yeah.
on the entire list.
Catwoman is an atrocity. It is a miscarriage of a
7%.
film. Yeah. But it is, man, let me tell you, Fantastic Beasts, I think it represents what this award is going on. If I could be so, if I could wax poetic about this Mr. Magoo Award. I think it represents what we're going after is just like how did they misunderstand their own concept?
Yeah.
You know?
You said it had like one beast.
Oh yeah.
And it focused on
even the magic, the wand spanking.
Yes.
You know, the wand spanking. People dying to fire when they can teleport anywhere in the world. I'm getting angry about those films.
I
again.
love it.
Yeah,
I love it. Okay.
that's phenomenal.
Pretty good one, huh?
That's top notch.
Okay, I think you're really going to like these, all right? These next two awards have movies in the title, so it already they probably should win this award, but we're going to give it a nod. Like
Okay.
we're literally naming, and I think we're going to do these every year.
Right.
So we're naming the award after these, okay?
Okay.
So the first one is the Sweet Smell of Success Award.
Okay. All
Okay,
right.
and the reason why is this kind of goes for the film that's the biggest surprise.
Ooh.
It doesn't necessarily need to be the best one we've covered in all of
Okay.
2022.
Okay.
But what was the biggest surprise? Obviously, Sweet Smell of Success had everything going against it. It was made in the 50s.
Yep.
And that's all you need to know about it.
Listen to the review.
And so obviously this probably should win. I mean, you gave it an 89.
Yeah, but
which
let's
is,
keep
like,
it
crazy
2022
good.
maybe.
No, let's not.
Oh, no?
No, well, I got my list here. I'm not,
Oh,
I'm not
yeah,
just
right.
giving you the award here. So the Sweet Smell of Success Award, which is the biggest surprise this year.
Yep.
Ocean's 13, which you gave a 78 over Ocean's 11.
The best running joke in the whole franchise.
The Naked Gun. Because
And boy,
for the
would-
3 weeks, I mean, egg on my face. For the 3 weeks leading up to that episode, I was just shitting on it.
Right.
Assuming it was like, oh, this is obviously 30s or 40s.
Right.
Nope, gave it a 68.
Yep.
Again, not this best movie ever,
But still,
the surprise.
Yep.
Another, I'll give a nod. I don't think this is going to win, but Prey.
Definitely a surprise.
The reason why Predators and The Predator were very, very bad movies.
Yep.
Pretty much bad movies.
Poor trajectory.
No one was asking for a new Predator movie,
Yep.
let alone here comes one off of Hulu.
Yeah.
Made by Hulu.
Yep.
And you get a 70%.
Yeah,
And it was
yeah.
refreshing a little bit. And
Female
a different
led.
take. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I gave that a little nod.
Absolutely.
Biggest surprise again, RRR. Triple R.
that was a surprise
Again,
in many ways.
68 again, but a big surprise.
Yep.
One, Moby Dick,
Oh yeah.
which I thought you gave a 77. I had to do a double take on it. You gave Moby Dick from the 1950s an 87%.
Yeah, it was phenomenal.
I mean, think about that. Some of our highest movies of all year came out of the 50s. That decade.
Which, absolutely goes against what we always think. 50s is a bunk.
I know. But Moby Dick, 87%.
Yeah,
Big surprise.
yeah. Wow.
I put Coherence on here.
Oh.
Very, very small sci-fi. Very, very low budget sci-fi.
Yeah.
So much dreb and dribble we've had out of the sci-fi genre.
Yeah.
Gave it an 80%. Another nod. Don't think it'll win, but I wanted to put it on here. The Menu.
Oh yes.
Gave
Such
it-
a surprise.
Gave it a 78, and out
Yeah.
of all the horror we covered this year, one of the highest rated and a huge surprise.
Yep.
You would think it would just be a typical whatever
Yeah.
horror.
Blumhouse schlock.
Yes,
nothing.
Blumhouse schlock.
Yeah.
And the last one we'll end it on is Airplane. For a movie that you were not looking forward to covering.
What started
you were
the
not
whole
gonna
comedy.
be surprised on.
Yep.
You gave it an 8. You gave it an 82%, which is one of the highest all year.
That's
So again, it's the biggest surprise. Ocean's 13, The Naked Gun,
man.
Prey, Triple R, Moby Dick, Coherence, The Menu, and Airplane.
that it has to go to Menu because Menu
Whoa!
Menu it had the biggest variance. Menu had the biggest I thought this was going to be trash. I thought this was going to be 20s.
Wow, I'm
And
shocked.
then-
I thought I put Prey in The Menu on here just to give nods. I didn't think it was going to win.
Yeah. I mean,
Really, not Ocean's 13 or Moby Dick.
well, obviously, I guess Moby Dick was going up against my assumption that everything from the 50s was going to be bad.
And Ocean's 13 was, I'll tell you what, Ocean's 13 we'll give a nod to. That was my biggest surprise
Oh yeah,
of you.
and it's a big surprise in the special because it's wow, I thought Ocean's 13 was going to be the worst of all of them.
Right.
and that's
people
the legend.
hate
is
it.
what-
Yeah, the
that's-
legend, it's the worst. It
Yeah.
falls off the map.
Yep.
And a 78 is it. Now, Ocean's 11 got a 77.
Sure.
But you would think Ocean's 13, it's like
Yep.
45?
Oh yeah,
Maybe 48? No,
Yeah.
it's 78 you gave it.
I really did. It really was.
But really, the Menu.
I think so. Just because the Menu was such, you walk away from it with such a, wow, I was kind of taken on a little bit of a journey here and unexpected as
Right.
well. Also, just the sheer shock that the
Wow.
Menu actually tells a story that anyone working in the culinary industry should probably watch. It's such a true to form
Right.
story for them. Yeah, I think I got to give it to the Menu. I
Wow.
think I do. Yeah.
Damn, okay. The Menu gets the Sweet Smelling Success Award.
I mean, realistically, Sweet Smell of Success. should
Right,
win.
but we get it on. Sweet Smell of Success, how great is that the title,
I
too.
love
It just
it.
works.
Absolutely.
It's sex of the film. It's
Absolutely.
fun. On the opposite side of that, our next Tom Daly Award,
Yep.
this is the Kane Mutiny
Oh,
Award
perfect.
for the biggest disappointment, okay?
Oh, I actually thought about this the other day. We got to create a donation tier for the Kane Mutiny. We have all the
maybe.
themes. The Kane Mutiny has
A Mutiny
easily
Award.
been the 2022's
Would it be
meme
so?
of the
Kane Mutiny got a
podcast.
39%. Would it
Yeah.
be a $39 donation or a $3.90 donation?
Ooh, maybe it's
You know?
it's the budget friendly.
Because if people hate us,
the
they could just be
recession.
like, "I just want to get my note in." So here's $3.90.
I think that might be it.
Just trying to create a mutiny a little bit. Okay, so the Kane Mutiny Award for the biggest disappointment goes to either Uncharted. For how much we love Uncharted the game, how
yeah,
much I
yeah.
love it, how much anticipation over the past, I don't know,
How
8
much-
years
Oh, right.
we were waiting for this
Right.
film. Give it a-
The short film with Nathan Fillion.
it got one shoe and it got a 45%.
Yep.
Biggest disappointment, Drive My Car.
Oh.
The reason why this was being touted as, this is the next Parasite.
Yep,
This
yep.
is it. There's something about this. This
An
is gonna take the
international film
world.
that will sweep. Yeah, absolutely.
You gave it a 60. This also had that weird 45-minute opening
Yes.
where the movie just changes completely,
Oh, my
which was
God.
this weird thing that might still be happening in cinema.
It had like a TV show in front of it.
Right,
It was
right.
so odd. Yeah.
So that here's another one, Coda. Coda was a 2021 film. It won the Oscar for Best Film.
Oh man.
You gave it a 61, and talk about the
Disney
biggest
special.
disappointment.
It was a Disney Channel.
So again, this was an early on watch, trying to catch
Yep.
up before the Oscars came on. The Gray Man, for the fact that Netflix spent $200 million on this piece of crap movie.
Yeah.
You gave it a 53. Other was on here was Carrie for being a very, very well-known original horror story from
huge.
what's the guy's name?
Stephen King.
Yeah, Stephen King.
What's the guy?
Everyone knows Carrie. Everyone knows it's a classic horror
Yep,
film. You
yep.
gave it a 35%.
I thought Carrie was terrible. Yeah.
And for
Oh, such a weird soundtrack too. Oh my god.
Yeah, I'm glad-
Carrie was a mess.
Yeah, I didn't think you were expecting that one.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
last one I have on here, again, I don't think it'll win, but I want to put it on here, is Kin. And the reason why is that kid had an awesome space gun, and he never used the space gun.
He never did it. The space gun was never used.
Biggest disappointment, Uncharted, Drive My Car, Coda, The Gray Man, Carrie, or Kin.
I think
Good list? I mean, any honorable
excellent,
mentions?
Excellent.
Yeah.
Maybe.
That's tough, I know. I mean, it's
I
a
mean,
long
maybe
list.
Lightyear honestly belongs on that list as
Ooh,
well.
Shit, you might be right.
Yeah, just because I mean it's like
Here's why
Buzz Lightyear.
I actually think I almost put this on the list.
Uh-huh.
Here's the reason why. You weren't expecting it to be good going in.
True,
You were
true.
super I was excited for it. You were
Yeah.
not excited for that film.
Yep.
So
And then
you're
it turned out to be even worse.
Well, yeah, there's that. There's that.
I think, and going back to the review, I maybe didn't communicate how much I was kind of on board with getting behind a dumb blockbuster action film with the return of some big directors. I think it goes to Gray Man.
Wow, really?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not surprised. $200 million. Has spent on it.
The Russo brothers return. I mean, they are coming off of
And who's the
Endgame.
actor? We don't like the one actor, but we have
It's Chris Evans and Ryan Gosling.
which we love Ryan Gosling.
Yeah,
Ryan Gosling's
absolutely.
like killer. He's
Yeah.
awesome. He's not just a pretty face. Dude can act.
Yeah. And realistic, what did I give it? Was it like
53.
50? Yeah. I mean, it is still kind of a whatever kind of movie.
Right,
but
right.
I was expecting a lot. I mean, the Russo brothers finally having a separation from Marvel. I felt like they had so much built up, and there was nothing original. There was all drone shots,
And
basically.
what's crazy is they were the executive producers of
Everything.
Everything Everywhere.
Yep.
So that's crazy.
Yeah, and much more of a unique film.
Right.
You know what I mean? Jesus.
So listen, I mean, biggest disappointment, obviously, kind of the Kane Mutiny, because you're looking
Yeah.
forward to. But okay, wow, the Gray Man.
I hope the Kane Mutiny Award stays around for the entire run of the podcast. People need to know
Yeah.
that the Kane Mutiny was a disappointment.
Okay, all right. So I think that's it. Okay, yeah. So for you, that's it. I have my award
Okay.
now. Okay.
All right.
This is the Golden Laces Award.
I love it.
Okay?
Love it.
So this is really my only award within the Tom Dailies.
Yep,
Okay.
yep.
And the Golden Laces Award is a combination of things. It is a factor of, and this is just 2022 films, by the
Okay,
way. Yeah,
okay.
yeah. This is all 2022. So this is my not best movie, but
Sure.
this is my it's Golden Laces.
It's Golden Laces. I mean, come on. Lace
know?
up.
This is for the movie that is part the biggest surprise, part best film, and part Movie that deserves just one extra nod, an extra slap on the back. One I felt that came and went a little bit too quick or didn't get enough praise at the time. So it's not like best movie where I can just say, well, All Quiet on the Western Front got 2 shoes, 2 laces.
Right.
I mean, not Lord of the Rings. Right. It's about that film that deserves it. Again, it's for a 2022 film. I have some runner-ups here. One was Crimes of the Future. Okay. Just to give a nod to Cronenberg, I think that movie.
Vigo.
Oh, of course, Vigo.
It's your boy.
I think the movie did come and go a little bit. I think it's going to be forgotten a little bit as far as.
I think it's already forgotten.
And when the other awards come out, the lesser awards come out, and I think that's a shame. I think it's a really big shame.
Yeah.
Again, I do want to give a nod to All Quiet on the Western Front. It did get the best score for 2022 out of me, the best amount of shoes and everything that. Top Gun Maverick. It's very impressed. I don't need. We went through it before. Generic writing, generic character development,
but it is
generic acting.
Technically a marvel.
It was cool. The action was good. The dedication to getting real shots with real lighting, real jets, actual true camera work, and dedication to getting those shots. I really appreciate that. I wanted to give a shout out to this one, and this is not this is a runner up. And I think if you had a Golden Laces award, this would be the winner.
Really? Okay.
Mad God.
Oh.
And I think this could be in talk for director and cinematography.
Sure. It's all Phil Tippett. It's all your uncle's basement. It's all down there.
But Mad God, I just think shouldn't be forgotten about for just. That dude worked on it for like years and years.
30, maybe 50.
And if people you remember, it's this crazy, weird, horror, spooky...
stop motion.
Yes.
Technically.
Stop motion and this guy did Jurassic Park animations, right? Or
RoboCop, Star Wars. I mean, Phil Tippett is a mastermind of practical effects.
So I think that should be mentioned.
I love that. Yeah, absolutely.
The winner for the Golden Laces, though, is The Batman. I really, really like the Batman. I didn't give it a shoes. I saw it like a week after we did the podcast.
Right. Yep.
But I did see it in Dolby Atmos Theater, which is the way to do it with that sound.
Absolutely. Punches as well.
As you said earlier, Batman has been done to the nines. It's been beaten over our heads as far as superheroes go. That maybe in modern days, like Spider-Man as well.
Sure.
But Batman goes back further. We have so many Batman. What they did here, they managed to do something. I don't know. It felt great, the movie. It felt great. I love the detective noir. I love early on Batman.
Yep.
I liked Robert Pattinson. I liked the way they went about it. I really, really did. It wasn't quite your typical Batman movie. They were able to reinvent it. And not only that, in a horrible landscape of superhero movies that we've had last year, this year, and probably years to come.
Yeah.
I think this stands alone as a very, very, very good movie.
Absolutely.
And I can't believe I'm saying it. I'm excited for more Batman movies.
Wow.
If Robert Pattinson's in.
Yeah.
If we get the Joker next, I'm very excited for it. I really like this movie.
Yeah. And in the mess of DC's own landscape, I mean, they're throwing everything out.
I know.
Now. It's crazy.
I know.
Yeah.
And there was a second I didn't tell you this, but that week I saw it, I was going to give a retroactive Tommy Two Shoes.
It was, wow.
But I thought, the rules are ironclad when it comes to the Two Shoes, so I figured I best not.
Best not.
We're gonna lose. Donations are gonna drop if I go doing something like that.
The board is gonna be upset if we start messing with the Tommy Two.
But anyway, so people of the Batman films, expect in your mailbox tomorrow a pair of golden laces for you.
Oh, wow. Excellent. I think that's wonderful. And yeah, you're so right. 2022, I think, was a real low as far as superheroes. Marvel, weakest the phases have ever been.
Oh, big time.
DC, a dumpster fire.
Which is par for the course, but yes.
Yeah, but more than ever. Christ, they do this reboot with Black Adam. 3 months later, we have Henry Cavill quitting Witcher, and then he gets fired. It's so the fact that DC was able to do something like that and goes to show, put Batman on his own island, put him in Gotham. That's all he needs. It's just boots on the ground, street fighting.
I love the film. Yeah. Love it. So, all right, good. Yeah, I was nervous about it a little bit. You had issues with that film a little bit. Some issues. You gave it a 79, so you liked it.
Right.
But yeah.
I think I love that choice though, because I think it also shows just how much entertainment you got out of a Batman film in an endless landscape of Batman films. You know what I mean? It was able to bring something new.
One that wasn't on my list, but I would, but it was so recent. Pinocchio was close.
Really?
To getting there,
wow.
too,
Yeah. But that's in its own box, right?
Really good.
Really good.
He's not that funny. Quiet down. But yeah. So anyway, that's the Golden Laces Award. We got 2 more to go, Vin.
Yeah.
We're kicking it back to you. We have the worst of the worst.
Yep. And a personal fave.
And a personal. I like that personal fave.
Yeah.
Almost like a Golden Laces, but a little bit different.
Yeah,
We have a
yeah.
whole variety of different.
Absolutely.
Different
It's
stuff.
our awards. It's Tom Daly.
So worst, and I like worst of the worst because it's not. This has nothing to do with the Kane Mutiny Awards. Because there's a big difference between truly worst film
Yep.
of 2022 and the Kane Mutiny, which is biggest disappointment. Again, 2 can be very different films.
Yeah, because I think both with Sweet Smell of Success, it's about expectations going into the film.
Exactly right.
And how they
exactly right.
flip either, north or south. So
That being said, do you want to go with the personal fave?
yeah, let's go with the personal fave because I think the writing's on the wall. Personal fave, the Tom Daly goes to Crimes of the Future.
Yeah.
And I think it's a personal fave versus something like a Best Picture because, I mean, realistically, I don't know if it is a film everyone can get behind. I was talking to someone about it, and he goes, "Yeah, my mom checked it out. She said there's not enough pot in the world that would make me watch that movie." I was like, okay. All right. So, I mean, I like weird movies. I like sci-fi a lot.
Yeah.
And going back to that review, much how I compared it to Dune. It is new science fiction. It is doing
Yes,
something
yeah.
new. It is doing something exciting, and that is where I was really, I was really thrilled with it. And then this obviously compounds with everything that I said for Best Director with Cronenberg. I mean, it's a
Yeah.
return to form in the most satisfying way possible. Like he made his best movie probably after a hiatus and after being rusty. I mean, it's triumphant. It's great.
I couldn't agree with you more
Yeah.
on it. Yeah. And I think it might not be suitable for all audiences, but I think in 82, it's almost saying that it is.
Yep.
Because I think this thing is special. It really is a unique, special property.
Yeah, yeah.
So I love that. I love it.
Absolutely. Worst of the worst, man.
Okay, it's our last
What do
award
you
of the
think?
day.
It's the last award. I know we're
This is
ending.
2022 or all,
Yeah,
all year?
2022. Yeah, I'll stick with it. So I mean, by the numbers from all year, it's got to be Catwoman. But for 2022, I mean, there was it's first on the list. It's first on the list.
It is the
I remember texting you how much I was absolutely
yeah.
dreading watching this film, and oh my god! I mean, and then I had to deal with people throughout the year finding it and.
Not agreeing?
Maybe not agreeing, but like saying like, "Wow, this was bad." I was like, "I knew it. If you only listened to me." I was the raving lunatic,
Right.
but
The worst of the worst.
Worst of the
Tom
worst.
Daly goes to.
gotta go to Moonfall.
Yeah.
Congratulations, Roland Emmerich. A similar return to form for Roland Emmerich.
Oh my God.
I mean,
That dude needs to stop what he's doing.
yeah, I mean, he funds it all. I mean, from the Lexus product placement, from the bad CGI, from horrific acting. I mean, if anything, it shares Halle Berry with Catwoman. Moonfall, 100%. Worst of the worst.
You gave it a 14%.
Yeah.
I mean, which is a low score.
And I think that by the numbers for 2022, definitely lowest. I don't think anything dipped lower.
Now, I mean, Firestarter was in the conversation with
Yeah.
a 28.
Yep.
Thor: Love and Thunder with a 33.
that's
Samaritan, you gave a 25. That was close.
Yeah, absolutely.
Talk about a movie that really came and went.
yeah.
And then you hated Spirited with a 29, and Avatar 2 looks really good with a 35 up against Moonfall.
Right. Night and day.
So
pretty
I
much.
think that's hilarious when we ended on Del Toro's Pinocchio with an
Yep.
83, but I forgot the first new 2022
Yep.
film we covered was Moonfall. No wonder why it was an early release. They knew it was going to be trash.
They knew. Oh man.
That's so good, Vin. I forgot about that.
Yeah, Moonfall was definitely it. But that's it. That is. We can wrap this thing up.
Winners of the Tom Daly's 2022. Take one more stand. Take a bow.
Take a bow.
Thank you so much, and such good losers too.
Right. Such a good audience as well.
Oh, they sound the exact same. They're so on cue. Really good list. I almost want to post this somewhere or just a highlighted, abbreviated kind of thing. Would be great. I don't know if we put it on. Maybe I'll put it on socials or something like that.
Sure.
But I love the list here. And folks, it's a blast going through the films.
Yeah.
It's something that we forget. It's fun to talk about. We hope you kind of enjoyed some of the awards and everything like that. There's no format here. It's kind of a mess. But our criteria is, in my opinion, if I can pat ourselves on the back here, it still is better. Golden Globes you can pay for. Okay, look at all the Amazon wins in the past. You totally buy a Golden Globe. I mean, you can't really take the Oscars seriously anymore.
I
mean, you couldn't for maybe decades even.
Yeah.
But the Oscars are a mess. It is a shit show.
Yeah, last 5 to 7 is just particularly.
And gotta be honest with you, some people now can't even Oscars that should at least be nominated won't be because there's quotas involved.
Sure.
As far as race quotas and culture quotas and things like that. And we look at films for the films. You are definitely not always going to agree with Vin. Everyone is their own person. But for the most part, we know where he's coming from. We know how he looks at films. And it's tough to disagree with how he got to his score.
Yeah.
When you compare against all the other ones, you're probably going to agree with him most. I know it's fun to go through. I mean, I agree with you most as well, and that's just not saying that because we do a podcast
Right. It's not
together.
an echo chamber.
I will look at your films and purposely and multiple times have gone to this site.
Sure.
Look at these people, and hey, out of almost 900 films now, there's stuff I disagree with you.
Sure.
You know, maybe one in whatever 50 or 70. There's actually some I get angry about even. But I know it's going to be 1 in 25 on this site. I know it's probably going to be 1 in 15 that I think this site is way off. You know what I mean? So at least you know where we're coming from. And giving these awards out is actually something that hopefully as the years go by,
Yep.
they mean something to us because we actually think that there's standards.
Yeah.
And we try to stick to some standards.
Absolutely.
We always stay fair, honest, consistent. And we really try to stick with that. You know what you're getting here. It's kind of foolproof a little bit just because you are dealing with one critic here. Vin sits down and watches 5 freaking films a week. So it's great that you don't have, it's not an aggregator of scores of other people's scores. It's not this thing that can just change with culture. It's not this roller coaster ride of, okay, what do we need to score high right now?
Or
just to
audience
score it
versus
high?
critic. Yeah, absolutely.
So it works, just our formula naturally works in that way of, at least we're a little consistent here because, Vin, it's just you watching the films. You know what you like and don't like. We now know that as well, and we can judge, do we watch these films off of your off the podcast, what you say about it in your score in the end.
Yep. This was the 5. Was it worth your time? That's basically it.
So it's a special, folks. We're not going to go ahead and do a producer segment. We'll do that next week in our normal episode. So just want to remind people, like I said, Vin watches 5 films a week. We started this from nothing. Creating the website was a lot. I mean, it's been hundreds and hundreds of hours between making the mock site and getting it up and running, putting the films on. I mean, like I said, we have 850, 900 films to put on the site. It's about a half an hour per film, folks.
Yeah.
It's a lot of work. We have producer Sean helping us out just because we're trying to make a deadline for ourselves. And between that, taking the time to do the podcast and get it out to you and set everything up, it was a great 2022. Now it's really time to punch us out and try to get our name out there a little bit. So if you do enjoy this, if you are enjoying our company and the value that we're providing, if you find yourselves that you're into film, I say this every week now, are you into film more? Because we're all kind of just hanging out once a week together and talking about film and getting into the culture a little bit. Like I said, this past year, I have never been into film as much as I have been. And it's actually been quite nice. It has been a very nice escape from an otherwise very busy year.
Sure.
And if you're feeling some of that, if you're listening every week, if you're checking the website every week or whenever you think a movie is out, want to check it out, if you could, just go to thedailyratings.com, go to the donations tab, and become a producer yourself. If you're getting value, send us some value back, and it's just a back and forth we have. It's a through line to you. It's a dialogue that opens up. And another thing I really can't make even stress enough, if you don't want to give anything, you can produce it another way too. You can just tell somebody about it.
Absolutely.
As we're really getting things finalized and buttoned down here for 2023, we really want to get our name out there a little bit. And that is all in massive, massive help to you. If there's a conversation you hear going on about film, get us in that conversation. That's really where we want to be. We want to be in the conversation. If it's not money, there's other ways to produce too. And we thank you all so much who has stuck with us this year, been enjoying it, been telling people, been producing monetary value. Such a huge thing for Vin and I. We can't thank you enough. But that's it. Just want to say that in closing, our 2022 pitch to you guys.
And a heartfelt thank you.
Yeah,
really
absolutely.
a heartfelt thank you.
You know, I could go into other people's money revenues and how they pitch to advertising companies and how they ask you for money, or there's peer structures. So, you know, you give us this much and we give you a little taste.
Right,
Maybe gives you more, then we give you more. We don't do that. It is there. It is free. We just ask for a little bit of value back if you're getting it. Yeah, a big thank you. Big thank you to everybody.
Absolutely, from the bottom of our hearts. And can't wait to watch more movies. Can't wait to have more and more exciting special projects. We have some exciting stuff lining up. And I mean, there's some big releases in 2023.
So let's talk about 2023 a little bit.
Sure.
We'll talk about the daily ratings. We're trying to grow and we're trying to get out. We might be on a couple more platforms maybe.
Yep.
We're trying to grow. We might have a couple other things that would be, I don't know, consumable items for you guys a little bit. Some ideas in the works and some ideas where we want to go. We want to be a little bit bigger and better for you, and especially for the producers in 2023. As far as filmmaking goes, let's talk about, Finn, for the films coming up in our next calendar year.
Yep.
What are some big ones? What are we looking forward to? What is on your radar?
Well, big one I think is Oppenheimer with Christopher Nolan.
Okay, yes.
And I think, him doing advertising quite literally with a year countdown on the trailer to the film. I mean, I think he's expecting it to be pretty big as well.
And talk about practical effects, too.
Yeah,
we expect a lot from him.
He made his own hydrogen bomb.
I know. He's a psychopath. Oppenheimer, definitely.
Yeah, Oppenheimer. I mean, it's definitely a smaller release, but Inside with Willem Dafoe. I mentioned this a couple episodes back.
The trailer, that's right.
I'm just super excited.
Wow, yeah.
I mean, Heist with Willem Dafoe. I mean, that's where I'm at. And I mean, man, there's a lot of big franchises. I think while it's going to be a lot of work, I'm honestly excited to do deep dives on different series and different franchises. We of course have Indiana Jones coming back.
Oh my God, that's right.
Flawless 5 spot.
Oh my God! Perfect, beautiful.
Yeah. We were folks. We were talking before the episode started, but how to tackle the beast that is the Fast and Furious movies. 10 of them
coming out. 10 is coming out, and we're gonna do something. We're gonna do something. That has been the beating child for us, and the ongoing joke of when is this gonna have to happen?
Absolutely,
2023.
Yeah.
John Wick 4.
Yep. Absolutely.
Because it's John Wick.
It's John Wick.
I mean, will we ever...
Is it going to be the last one? I wonder. I don't know. I don't know the plans.
I would say no.
Yeah.
Who stops at 4? You know what I mean? Who stops at 4? 2 and 3 makes sense. 5, he might go to 6.
We're definitely getting into diminishing returns with John Wick for sure.
I think they do need to do something a little bit different.
Yeah.
So we'll see. Maybe 4 will be, on the heels of 1.
Sure.
A lot of people like 2 the most, by the way.
Really?
You and I are 1 all the way.
Yeah.
But you got to be excited for a John Wick.
Yeah.
I'm going to go ahead and say it. I'm going to go ahead and say Mission Impossible.
You know what?
I haven't told you this either. I have been watching the Mission Impossible.
No
well,
way.
I went through 4, 5, and 6.
Wow.
Fallout's not, but I actually don't mind some of them.
Yeah.
Ghost
the
Protocol's
later ones. Well, the later ones are good. I think we watched Fallout together.
And we saw it in theaters.
Yeah.
I liked it more returning back to it.
Yeah.
And I want to watch 3 again, but I'm kind of excited for it. They don't, again, generic kind of writing a little bit. They are a step below Bond. I don't think they ever surpassed Bond. But I'll tell you what, the latest ones, and I think the 2 that are going to be coming out are actually going to be pretty solid action flicks.
Yeah, the latest ones also have their own identity apart from Bond.
Yes, they do.
Yeah.
And they have practical effects as well. And you have to give thank you for Tom Cruise to that, but excited for that one.
What was this? He jumped a cliff with a dirt bike or something like that?
Yeah, there's some other big ones. There's some, yeah. I mean, it's what he's going to do for the next one. But anyway, Mission Impossible 7.
Yep.
Definitely looking forward to. Of course, there's Dune 2.
Oh, yeah.
Part 2. I think that's what we're most excited about.
I'm more so nervous, excited for it. I mean, I trust
Really?
I trust Villeneuve as a director.
Yeah, Denny's back.
Yeah, it's just more so, and hopefully he's going to finish out. I don't know if it's going to be a trilogy. I would imagine it's a trilogy. It's just such a big story. I have no idea what he's going to do format-wise.
Do you think he would say, do you think it would be part 1, part 2, when I saw part 1, in my mind, it was a 2.
I would love nothing more than that.
Or there's so
honestly.
many books. Do you think that this will just go on? Do you think Denny gets first 2 or 3, and then we just
then,
have this director steps in for here?
Yeah, because I mean it's like
Dangerous.
tens of thousands of years.
Yeah.
The story takes over.
But that first one was so good. I think as far as the movie I can't wait to see the most in a theater is that.
Yes,
Is
absolutely.
Dune Part 2.
Absolutely. And maybe a Mission Impossible, no joke. I mean, I'm not even a huge fan of it, but that's a good theater experience.
And Oppenheimer, just because, God, it's Nolan.
Yeah. He wants you in the theater.
Yeah, that's so true.
We go back to Tenet. He was breaking the COVID rules.
2 more movies. There is one that said there's a real possibility this is going to come out in 2023.
Oh, yeah?
I don't buy it. I actually wouldn't be surprised if
You
it
think
comes
it's
out.
going to be pushed?
I think it might be late 2024 because so much information is not on it yet. Sicario 3.
Wow.
It's happening. Taylor Sheridan is writing it, and Denny said he's interested.
So, yeah, how does he juggle Dune and
So,
this?
well, if Dune's in post and almost going to be completed,
Yep.
can he film and can editing happen so quick? I don't think so.
Right.
But there's talks that it might come out late 2023.
I would love that.
Sicario 3.
Yeah.
So we'll see with that.
Yeah.
Anything else on your radar before I say my last one?
He's holding it to the chest. I don't know.
I think we're pretty much it. We're not that excited.
Yeah, I mean, if anything, it really comes down to just a nervous anticipation of Dune Part 2.
Yeah.
Just because, there's a lot of buildup in that first one. If the second one doesn't bring it home, the first one retroactively as well. I think even going back to my review, now, a year and a half ago, I said that. I mean, there's almost exclusively set up in that movie. It's got to bring it home, and that's why I'm kind of nervous about it.
And not only that, this is our first time we have Denny returning to the same property.
Yeah.
He didn't do
Sicario
2,
2. Yep.
which Sicario 2 was great.
Yep.
But you know what I mean? It's going to be interesting. It's like, whoa, this is it's a dangerous thing. You look at Sam Mendes doing Skyfall to Spectre. Spectre, I quite like Spectre, but there was a drop-off there.
Yep,
it
absolutely.
is something with being so close that maybe it's best to get other people in. I don't know. I if there's one director you trust.
I hope so.
You know what I mean?
I hope so. I hope he's bulletproof.
I'm also excited for Cocaine Bear.
You are.
Yeah, okay, so I'm not. I don't like what's her face is directing it. Who did the latest Charlie's Angels?
Oh, really?
Is Elizabeth Banks?
I think so. I don't know.
Okay, I think it's Elizabeth Banks.
She's
I don't know what she's doing directing Cocaine Bear, but it's Ray Liotta's last film.
Oh, that's right.
I
That's
believe.
right. Yeah.
So it's the last time we get to see him.
Yeah.
I'm probably going to see it in theaters.
We'll watch it together.
Just to see Ray Liotta one more time on the big screen.
Absolutely.
Ray Liotta, because so much of his great stuff came, like we weren't able to go see.
Sure.
We weren't able to go see Goodfellas in theaters.
Yep.
And in his performance, although small, I loved him in Blow as well.
Yeah.
So he's in so many bad things,
He's
so wonderful. He's the best part of Wild Hogs. He is so good in Wild Hogs.
What a callback to Wild
But
Hogs.
Cocaine Bear comes out in January.
Yeah.
So there's that as well.
I'm excited for Cocaine Bear as well. It's just one of those where it's like, all right.
It's a sleeper hit.
Yeah, sleeper.
Awesome, Vin. I want to thank you so much for sitting down and really, you've watched slightly over 250 films this year.
This week.
Incredible. Yeah, it might feel like one long week to you. Really good. Folks, we try to keep something coming at you every single week.
Yep.
If we know that, we try to have something special if one of us is going to be sick.
Yep.
Vacations, we try to plan that out way far in ahead because we don't want missing gaps here.
Yep.
We had one just a couple weeks ago, and that was kind of a weird fluke that wasn't supposed to happen. So, we want to keep the value coming at you. We have a lot planned for 2023. And Vin, I'll give the floor to you.
Again, not to repeat, but a really heartfelt thank you to everyone listening. I love the engagement both in real life and then over donations and over writing in. I hope that people get value out of recommendations, and maybe it saves you time, maybe it gets you to watching something. And I think that's why we like to release and stick to this weekly schedule. Not only are we trying to navigate algorithms and keep up with competitors and stay consistent and whatnot.
Stuff that is like we don't want to deal with.
I know. Yeah, right. We really don't. But at the same time, all of you are watching movies independently. So if we have a play in that with our product, that's fantastic. So
awesome, Vin. Thank you so much. I want to thank you personally.
How I thank you, Tom. Those dynamite categories.
It was a blast. That was the Tom Dailies, folks. We will see you for a normal episode next week on the Daily Ratings. Thank you all so much.